So these pedals do two things. You see they move like this, and that's moving the rudder. But then the tops of them move as well. So if I put my feet to the very top and I push forward, like my toes forward, that puts the brakes on. If I put just the left brake on without moving these pedals, if I just push the top of the pedal here or the top of the pedal here, it'll put just the right or just the left brake on. So you're able to turn the airplane.
So when you do the pedal, just the top?
The top is the brake.
The brake. It's the bottom?
The bottom is, there's nothing to it other than you're moving the rudder behind you.
Got you.
So you try to first turn by putting the rudder like this, and if the rudder's effective enough, the plane will turn. Because this isn't steering the nose is just a cast steering wheel like a shopping cart. But if it's not enough to put the rudder in to turn, then I also touch the brakes, so I touch the top of the wheel. When I'm landing, one of the things that I do to make sure I don't land with the brakes on, I just drop my heels back. So I use these pedals like this. That way I'm sure I'm not going to land and have a brake on as soon as the wheels touch, because that could really wear the tread out very quickly.
So that's a technique, huh? So when you land in, just...
Yep, I just say heels on the floor. I remind myself to put heels on the floor, and I remind my students as well. But then once I'm on the ground, I put them back up here because I may need the brake to go around the corners.
Got it.
Yep. Just beach tour. Yeah. So thank you. On the ground, that's how I drive the plane. In the air, those pedals are just to keep things coordinated, which is a concept that would take a while to explain. I fly the plane like this. If I want to turn, I just put a little bit of pressure on here and the wings bank, and that's how I turn. And I, of course, control the pitch of the nose forward and back. So if the nose is low and I want to bring it up, I pull it back to bring the nose up. If the nose is high, I put a little forward pressure on it to be lower. And then if I'm holding some pressure in this stick, they call it a stoke. A yoke is what you see on a lot of airplanes like the 172. A stick is what you usually see coming up out of the floor. This is kind of a little bit of both, so they call it a stoke. They combine the two words. But if I'm having to push forward constantly to keep the nose down, I can move this little switch until I don't have to push at all, and all the pressures will equalize. And I don't take my hands off the control, but to demonstrate to you, I might go like this. Look, I'm not having to do anything. Now you'll fly the plane mostly, I'll land it. If you do real well taxiing, you'll even do the takeoff, if it sounds good to you.
Yes, yeah.
When the speed gets up to 50 knots, you'll see 50, then you do a light pressure back, just a very light. You almost won't even feel this move. It's almost like you just rest your hand on it and the plane will pitch the nose up and start flying.
50 knots.
50 knots. Anything else I can explain to you?
That's awesome.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
so some people have been confused because they get so used to driving the plane on the ground with the rudders. Once you get in the air, if you want to turn, you turn with like this. Okay? And the last control is the flaps here. And the only reason they're used is to create more drag and more lift so that I can land the plane slower at a slower speed, which is safer because we're coming down to the runway nice and slow without the minimum amount of energy. So this initial checklist is what we went through using the larger copy. The exterior summary, see, is checking the oil, all the stuff we already did. Now the interior is where I'm going to start. Passenger briefing. Just like when you fly on a commercial airline and they show you how to work the seat belts and they show you where the exits are located. Well, your seat belt, as you see, you've learned to secure. This releases it. Just lift up on the seat belt. It's a lot like the ones you see in the airliners. 2 exits. If we should have to leave the plane, just don't worry about me. You get outside and get to the back of the plane. Go toward the back of the plane. The door latches, they operate like this. If I move this forward to latch, that's good, but there's an additional latch here. So if I try to open this latch, this is what was happening when you're trying to open the door. I couldn't get this latch done because you were going like this. And when there's that pressure, I can't move this latch. So I had to get it closed again, latched, open this one for you, and then when you open that one, it came open. But it's very important that both are latched.
Got you.
Because what they found, this was an add-on. See how easy this moves? And if I'm messing around in flight here and I just bump this, oops, see how easy it is to hit that? And the door comes open in flight? That'd be exciting. The plane would still fly, but in this model, this door is flimsy enough that it falls off.
Falls up.
And it's a $5,000 door. So to be absolutely sure, before takeoff, be sure that all 4 door locks are completely latched. So that's why there's 2 latches. So we're going to be very sure that all 4 are latched.
Yeah.
Um,
Thank you.
It's a great view if it comes off, but I don't think I'd like to experience that. Not worth the $5,000 price tag.
Not even up to the air.
And you know, the plane will really fly just fine without the door. It's just you've damaged the plane, obviously, right? We don't want to do that. So it's not a safety item. So we're moving on here. Let's look at passenger briefing. I'm required to tell you how to use the seatbelts, both latching and unlatching, where the doors are, how to open and close them.
Yeah.
That's my requirement, and any pilot's requirement. Now we'll go ahead, rudder pedals set, that's so they're the right distance with that adjustment. All my circuit breakers are in. The electricals is all off. The avionics master is off. The carb heat is off. So I'm just going down my checklist. Fuel
So
primer.
this one you have to check, make sure it's off.
I'm just making sure it's off. See, it says pull on. So this would be carb heat on. This would be carb heat off.
Got you.
It's telling me to have the carb heat off. Now, this is a carbureted engine. So to prime it, it just says to put the throttle in 3 times. So this is just putting a little bit of fuel into the engine.
Great. So they can pump the fuel to it.
It just puts a little fuel in the
like
engine before we start.
cutting grass.
Yeah, but-
machine.
yeah.
You have to pump.
Mixture full rich. So I put, this is the mixture. It allows me to lean the fuel back. It says throttle slight. This usually starts up with barely any. Brake set. And what I'm going to do that always saves just a little bit of time, if we start the engine and start running the engine, we can listen to the radios. But I can copy down the weather here with my little